There we are. We're live. That went really, really quick, guys. I mean, like, bam. So that means everything's good. We got good signal. I'd like to welcome everybody in tonight. America Disclosing, Uncensored. So a special guest tonight with me is going to be Earl. How do you pronounce your last name? I want to do you just.
It's
Mangrum?
Mangrum.
Yeah. Great. You'll be right back with us in 1 second. Getting into tonight, I want to give you a little heads up out there if you're from PA. It's going to be their 15th annual paranormal conference this Saturday from 10 to 7 with guest speakers that you know and groups and admins like James Kerr, Kevin Paul, Mary M. Fabian. I couldn't think of her name off the top of my head, and some other great guests. So you might want to check that out if you're in PA. And I also want to send out a shot to Charmaine down there at Wiley Wild 21. Say hello to Uncle Ted. And know that we're all supporting you everywhere. But remember, if you believe in good health, take your vitamins, dietary supplements, all these things. They have a full line of products. You never know what will happen one day from the next. Keep them in mind if you're in need of anything. With that, I am the host, Michael Anthony. And I'd like to, again, welcome Earl. Dave is going to be sitting in with us tonight. He's been sitting in the background, letting me get through some guests. It's always good to have David back in, get his viewpoint and analogies on things as well with Earl. We have like the amazing Mississippi we're going to be addressing tonight. And I want to start off the best way I can by saying this rock star here, Earl, man, I'm hoping you guys all checked out the picture. What an amazing casting. How did you come across? You want to give us some details, please?
Well, I've been following them for a while. I know they're back. They follow the seasons. I was lucky enough to get a picture. I caught one beside my living room window one night, real recently, and I followed the prints, and I went about 2.5 miles in, and I found it. You know, but I've been here for a long time, and I'm sure they've been here longer than I have. But I'm privileged enough that they acknowledge me. You know, they know I don't mean them no harm. So
right,
and
yeah,
I cast 2 beautiful, beautiful prints, man. And I mean, I've got them before over there, but nothing that big. That was down by a river that goes all the way through my state, Louisiana, and everywhere else. And I dropped one on the way out, and I cried like a baby. I ain't shit, man. I was sick. But I still got the other one, thank God.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, I'm happy for you on that. You said it measured like 17.5 inches.
Right at about 17.25.
Still very, very well sized. I mean, when you put that up against Shaq, that's 22 inches. I don't know. So, David, I want to just jump in real quick because you have a mathematical science. It's, you know, in your view, in your theory, how tall would this being have been?
Now, what I do is from my own observations where I was able to measure and get a height with a corresponding footprint, I come up for every 2 inches gives you a foot of height, and it's pretty darn accurate. Like, for example, with the Patterson one, they estimated her at being between 7 and 7.5 feet tall, and she left a 14.5-inch track. Using my formula, it'd put her at 7'3", so it falls right in the range. So at 17.5, you know, it'd be about 8 3/4 feet tall, damn near 9 feet.
All right,
about 9 foot.
Please go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I said about 9 foot. That's what I figured it was.
Yeah,
because I seen overhead tree breaks, you know, where. And I said, that's I'm 6'2", so it's, you know, it's about 3 feet higher than me. I'm like, yeah, damn, yep.
Okay, where I was going with this, could just for information for new researchers and some people who may be just getting into the Bigfoot, science and so forth. Would it make a difference in either viewpoint from you, Earl, or you, David? Would the height ratio be a little different if it was a female that had 17.25 inch footprint versus a male? So would we have a height difference there can we make any type of determination, or is that too difficult?
Well, I haven't found any female prints that were greater than 16 and a half. Because here the females average 8 feet tall.
Okay.
So you kind of get beyond that, you can pretty much say it was a male.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
from watching little Andy grow up from when he was little, his tracks seem to grow about an inch a year. So
Understood.
He grows about 6 inches a year, and he's 11 feet tall now. So figure he's got about 2 more years of growing.
Man, I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at you, man. It's just when we talk about these heights is all. I mean, because,
it's hard to visualize.
It blows my mind more so. I mean, it really, really does. But, here, just recently, some word and news came out. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but of a giant being found on oh God, this is where this brain fog is when it comes in, but we're working on an analogy of a whole different thing, which is Bigfoot tonight. But a giant was discovered on a small island, and it's just breaking news. So beings are out there, humanoid looking more maybe so than others, but things of unexplained are happening. We don't always get all the facts behind them, but we'll stick to this. The state of Mississippi. You also sent me a picture, and I don't want to say too much. Am I allowed to talk about that picture and the experience down in Mississippi that you had? Because I know you research solo. You like being alone.
Absolutely.
Would you care to talk about that picture of the truck?
Yeah, you can show it.
Well, I'll give everybody a little heads up, Dave. Little attention here. We had an earlier conversation this afternoon, prepping for the show tonight, just to touch on a few bases. And Earl says you want to believe kind of in the unbelievable. The one time I take somebody in with me,
yep,
to do some researching with me, and some type of instance occurred, and they go to leave the area and come back to find tree trunks through the front windshield. And
trees.
Something destroyed this truck.
Yep.
And it's in the picture. You can see. I mean, it was pretty mind blowing. You want to give a little more explanation, Earl, on that?
Well, I follow 5 counties or more in the state. I go by myself, like I said. I don't take no fancy cameras. You don't need any of that shit. I don't take nobody with me because usually where I go, I'm pretty sure that they're there. I know they're there because I've seen them or seen tracks. I've been going so long for so many years. I've been following these beings for over 40 years. They're not creatures. They're not animals. They're beings. And their intelligence is just beyond belief. And once they get a knack for you, I go to that area. I don't feed them at all. But when I go to an area, that they're familiar with me at, in other words, always go alone. I never bring anybody. And one weekend I went up there and I took somebody with me that's been wanting to go, and I knew it was a bad idea, man. I knew it. And they demolished his truck. Believe me, we walked. We was about 2.5, 3 miles in, and man, I heard it, and I knew what it was. You could hear the roars, man. You could hear the trees snapping, and I just, shit, man, we got to walk, And we walked, after we found that truck, we walked like 25 miles to get a ride to come 65 miles back home. So, and it took, once you get their trust, you don't want to break it, man. I'm telling you. And it took me a while. It took me about 4 or 5 years to get one of their trusts back so I can go back. But I don't go as far as I used to go. I know my limitations. You know what I mean? They'll let you know how far you can go. Now
I got a question for you. That guy that you brought in, was he pro kill?
Was he what?
Pro kill.
What do you mean?
Wanting to kill one for a specimen to prove they exist?
Oh no, I don't talk to people like that. No, he was I don't know if he had a bad intent or I don't know if they sent they can sense you like a dog. They can tell if you mean them no harm.
Well,
And
yeah. That's why I asked the question, because might
right. So
explain the
but
behavior.
I really don't know his intentions. I don't ever take firearms with me. I take them in for snakes, but when I'm going to the point, I make it my halfway point. I'll leave my guns in a certain spot and I'll pick them up on the way out because you know yourself, they know what a firearm is. And
Yeah.
hell, a pistol couldn't kill one anyway, just piss it off. But I don't know what his intention was. I really don't know. Like I said, that's the first time I took him up in there with me, and that was the last. That was it. So he won't even ride with me to the store no more.
And David, I must say, and that all the viewers out there, if you're not catching us live now, you catch it later. I'm going to ask your permission, if it's okay. Maybe I will post a picture of just some of what it looked like, what the truck looked like.
Absolutely.
I also want to bring up something else, but this is more about you, Earl. But just for a moment, like you said, these are very, very intelligent beings, and I wonder if their intelligence come from just their habits of watching man, watching us hunt, watching us come in and forage, and we go into these areas and so forth. Just as one theory, there's probably others, because sometimes I think they are trying to just protect people. Like, this is not safe for you. You know what I mean?
Well,
and you should leave the area. But they are intelligent.
Oh, absolutely. I believe that. Also, you got to look at it this way now. I mean, they've been hunted and trapped and ridiculed. I mean, and people just, these damn YouTube technicians, what you want to call them, man, go in there, they gun ho, and we're gonna go hunt for a Sasquatch, blah blah blah. I got my 30-30. Yeah, okay. Well, that's you just asking for a death warrant. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they go in like they're armed for the apocalypse and wonder why they don't get any results.
A rabbit could fart and they'd squeal running out of the woods.
Yeah.
Come on. Yeah, they're familiar with that. Absolutely they're familiar. Because look at the government, man. I mean, look yeah. They did the Indians. I mean, they're forcing their hand out. You're taking their land. You're taking their home away from them. I mean, that's all they know. That's their home, and you keep squeezing them out. But
only push so far.
What's that?
You guys are making me think of something that just came in.
You can only push so far.
True. The push is, that's like what the safe zone. The safe zone is you're going into their territory, and you got to be respectful in every way about it. But you brought up the pro gun, pro hunt, and all that, and a name comes to mind named Justin Mayha, where I think he claimed he shot two on a hunt.
Yeah.
One in the shoulder, and then a juvenile right through the throat, where he said he stayed with it until it died. And there was
to get my hands on that son of a bitch. I'm telling you, man.
Isn't that Justin Sinja or something like that?
Yeah, they made a big deal about it on YouTube, a movie or some shit documentary.
He was on that $10 million Bigfoot bounty.
Right, yep.
And then he claims that the one that he allegedly killed, that he was there and it was gurgling, and he strangled it to finish it off.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't know. I'm going to call BS on this story.
Yeah, exactly. That's
well, I know it got a lot of exposure. I can only say that. And if it's true, I don't condone what he did, because how I understood the story, not that I want to get away from what's going on in Mississippi or down in your neck of the woods, David, but the fact that, he wasn't even exactly sure what he was hunting when in his description, as he said what he saw through the scope, but he felt like it was something that could be bigger than life itself. And maybe it was just the fact that the thrill in his mind in that moment, if it's all factually true, taking the shot was the best thing. And the first one that he hit did go down. And as it got up, which took much moments later for him to even take a deep breath, according to in his description, I believe, he then visualizes two juveniles. And for whatever godforsaken reason that he felt that he needed to take out a juvenile next or make the attempt to, because in the description, I don't know what actually happens to the adult. Probably more or less we'll call it the mother to the two juveniles.
Right. He said it was a female and it was an adult and he shot it through the chest.
Yeah.
Right.
So
he shot it because he didn't know what it was, you know.
Exactly.
Honestly, I think he was out looking to poach black bears for the gallbladders.
It could be a possibility. Yeah, it
You
could
know,
be a possibility.
You know,
They get a lot of money for that.
yeah.
They sell them on the black market. What is it, $1,000?
It's a lot. Hey, let me do something real quick here. I want to say a big hello to my brother Earl down in Texas. Hello, brother. You're in my prayers. Just want you to know I see you on, and thank you for stepping in. I am thinking about you. I'm not going to explain what that means, but he's a very dear friend of mine, and I just had to share that out for a moment. Also, you were telling me a little bit earlier. This might be some interest to you, Park. Park, I like that. Park. Anyway, Earl has a very dear friend that a lot of people know of, and he wants to give him a shout out. So let's do that because this guy is truly a legend. This is a legend, rock star.
Absolutely.
Please say hello and shout him out.
His name is Mr. Larry Batson from Indiana. They call him the Animal Guy. He has shows on 2 or 3 times a week. He's an awesome man. I'm telling you, he's like my godsend. And they got their own animal farm. Him and his wife, Miss Cheryl. They do incredible work with animals. Of course, you know yourself, Larry's been working with animals since before Johnny Carson. I mean, he was out there researching the Patterson Gimlin shit. You know, I mean, he's been around it forever. And he's the one that brought me out of my shell to talk about things, and I admire that man greatly. And I just want to say, check his show out. And they make pottery, they make Bigfoot cups, everything they make and sell supports their animals. You know, it's a great cause, great cause.
Yes, and he's actually taught us a lot over the years, bringing the animals on the shows, trying to give good analogies, descriptions of them, their habits, their habitats, the things that they've learned about them. So he's a rock star, no doubt about it.
He knows his stuff.
He sure
does.
So big hello to you, sir, and I thank you for all your work that you've done. We really need you, and I hope that we can keep you around for another 20 or 30 to keep us learning. We really appreciate you. That was a really sweet thing for you to do for him. I appreciate that.
Thank you, sir.
All right. So let's talk a little bit more. You're Earl. You said you have like right across the road from you. Where you do some of your research, you have like 3,000 acres right in there. How has that worked out for you over the last 40 years, having something so close like Dave living amongst them? So here are probably 2 of the only people I know in the world that can honestly reflect that way and the viewpoint of living amongst them.
Well, shit. That was my first thought. My tree line is probably 70 yards from my front door. I kept wondering when I got this house and this place, you know, I'm in a spot that country people would die to get, and nobody wanted this place, and I couldn't figure out why. You know, I believe I figured it out about 50 years ago or so, and they let me know they're here. I hear them at night. I got vocals recorded. I have footprints recorded on. Man, I got so many pictures over here. Tree breaks. They slap the back of my house sometimes at night. That's the juveniles. They just want to play. They let me know they're here. I mean, if they wanted to hurt you, they just walk through your house and kill you, you know. But
Yeah.
I mean, they know I don't mean them no harm. So I think that's the main reason, you know, they allow me over here, you know.
Earl, do you think that they observe you every day as
Absolutely.
you do things?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I could be sitting outside at night and I guarantee you $1 million. One of them or two or three or more. You know, they got day watchers, they got night watchers, you know, of course, juveniles. And I guarantee they watch me at night. I took my dog out not too long ago and I got to call him because he's a big black and tan. I got to keep calling him, you know, and because I keep him on the leash right here, of course. And one night I took him out and something across the woods was grunting and it started calling my dog's name. So he was trying to lure my dog. Yeah. He was trying to lure my dog across the street.
Well, I gotta stop you there. Real serious point of interest, because you're not the first one that told me what you just said on verbalage. You actually heard some type of sound that reflected to the fact that they were calling your dog. Was it by name or?
My dog, I call my dog's name is Bandit.
Bandit.
And I heard, Bandit. Like Smoking the Bandit, that's his name, Bandit Gold. And when I called him Bandit, and I kept calling him, you know, he just froze and his tail, his whole body just froze like a block of ice. And the next sound I heard was sound like a little bush twist, you know, a break, whatever. I've heard so many of them. And then I heard, Bandit, Bandit, like that, you know. And he hauled ass to the house, opened the door and let him in. And he slept in my bathtub. He stayed in my bathroom for 3 days, 3 nights. He would not come out of that bathroom. Yeah. Now when I take him out, he won't go out. He won't go out the front door. He goes out the carport door, and he's steady looking across the street with his ears up. He does what he has to do, and it don't take him 5 minutes, and he wants to go back inside.
Now here they've pet my dogs and made friends with them.
Yep. I've had one of mine torn in half.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
8 years ago. Yeah.
Well, okay. Good and bad. So there must be a leveling point of something that makes this species act more aggressively at times versus non-aggressive. Any thoughts on how that might weigh in from you guys, being that you're directly involved with the lifestyle of Bigfoot?
I think it's like people. I think it's their attitude. I mean, if you want to go over there, if they can sense a dog barking and running, you know, and growling and shooting straight toward them, they're going to defend themselves just like a person, you know. But if you're calm and they acknowledge you, I think that's a whole different other, you know. They mean you no harm because, you know, I know for a fact they know who I am, you know. And but what, you know, when they called my dog, that made me a little nervous, you know, when I heard that, you know.
Yeah.
Now I was out last night. Usually I sit up under my carport with all the lights out, and I just keep my cell phone on, lay down flat on the table with a towel over it. Now, of course, they can still hear that, like camcorders or whatever. But that's usually when I pick up my sound recordings. You can go to my page and listen to one. I recorded a juvenile one night, and it's on my page. And so usually I sit out there and do that, you know, and you can hear them moving. I can hear tree limbs breaking. That just let me know they close to the tree line walking up and down, you know.
Right.
Well, now here, like the one we call Little Andy, he's friendly with and made friends with my dogs and the neighbors' dogs.
Right.
Because the last time my boy seen him was the neighbor dogs ran right up to him and they were all wagging their tails and they gave him away.
Oh,
interesting.
Ralph.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Well, could the possibility be like what Earl's saying? You know, we all live different lifestyles in the United States of America. We all experience different things. We grow up with different types of people. They grew up in different types of an environment. They're looking at us. We go in. In some cases, man is hostile, or they see a man take down a deer or a bear with a rifle, and they get to know us in a different mannerism. So could that possibly be with their intelligence, as we understand them to have, could that possibly be and how we should determine their actions? Maybe that they really don't mean us harm, but in some way they feel it necessary to just cloak protection, and that's how they do it.
Absolutely. I mean, you got to figure, man. They live in these woods for hundreds and hundreds of years, man. No electricity, no lights, no nothing, and they still survive. And they still multiplying, and they're still here. Yeah. I mean, that's incredible.
Your ancestry is Indian, correct,
Yes.
Earl?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Because you have kind of an American first name, so I just had to throw that at you just for. But and you brought up hundreds of years, and actually, if you go really back into history and the Indians and whatnot, I'm pretty sure it's a little well over 1,500 years that they have been sharing information, doing their cave art, wall art, rock art, and wood art, and depicting Bigfoot within it.
Absolutely.
And they are our teachers when you really think about it. The white man came to America. We can at least assume there's been a lot of misconstrued misrepresentations of world history, but we can at least look at that as somewhat of a basis of analogy. And if it wasn't for what they did and to keep track, to teach us, to at least show the new age of people like our generations now, when we go out and we find or make a discovery, digging up or looking at the sides of caves that have still not yet been totally all found. I mean, some parts in the Northwest Pacific, I mean, it's desolate. People don't even go to walk to the complete end of the forest in those areas. So there's much to still be found.
Man has never been there before. I mean, there's hundreds of places around here like that. Man has never been through, No,
I agree with you. David, you got anything for Earl? Because I know the fascination of living between. I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I could keep going here, but I want to give you some room.
Well, with the cave systems that are all over this country, like here in Missouri, we're the number 2 state for the number of caves. Because I think Tennessee has the most, then Missouri, and I don't know, I think Illinois has got quite a few too, but it seems like all your states that border the Mississippi River, quite a few limestone caves, and then you got all those ones through the Appalachians, and they haven't mapped them out in their entirety, and they go on forever. Who knows what the heck is under there or come out of there?
Right.
I think, Bigfoot could possibly use them to navigate, undetected from one area to another if they know the cave system. And what else, Now, right. I got a good question for you, Earl. In your area where you've got these Bigfoot that you're interacting with and stuff, have they ever found gold there?
No.
No. A lot of people I've talked to, where they're having these sightings is where gold was previously found. But, it could just be the fact that there's a waterway there or something, and that's where people have prospected.
Then I did my first sighting on when me and my sister were kids.
I think we got a haunted StreamYard tonight, man. Everybody jump positions there. I didn't touch nothing.
Well, it's like Earl cut out, and then he come back.
That could be
why. You got that coffee, buddy?
That could be why. Hey, we might just need to pour more whiskey and light a bigger cigar. We'll be fine. We'll get through it all. Let's give a shout out to everybody who loves listen to us talk and conversate real quick. We got Deborah in, Bess in, Eric's in, Deborah Ann Myers. She's always stopping through. Merle came through. Gary, he had some very interesting stories one time that he has shared with me and David live on the air. That was pretty mind blowing because speaking of verbiage and calling, I mean, they were in an area where they thought they heard the word, and I'm not going to say thought. They heard the word thank you after a gifting was done that came from somewhere in the brush. So we are hearing things like this, and more people are now also sharing different types of analogies and stories and theories of the verbiage, this language that they use. So a lot more on that. Now, getting into caves just for a quick moment, because I learned something that may be a little bit of something to do with things. But in Portland, a place that you wouldn't think would have like tunnels and different things like that, there's major reports, even under the city of Portland, that there are phenomenons and things moving through the tunnels down there that has has set in forth a total fear to a lot of the people that go down. And everybody that has gone down comes back up with stories of glowing eyes, wolf-like creatures, giant wolf-like creatures. And, whether these things are true or false, I don't know. But that just gives you another analogy of how vast the United States is and what's underneath and how many people have been here before us and what they've done. Was it part of minds like you were saying? I guess we might be having a little bit of a dilemma on Earl's side there.
Yeah, his sound was a little bit.
Yeah, we'll give him a minute to get his. Hopefully he'll be able to connect back with it. He knows how to get back in. In the meantime, David, thanks for being here. We'll go on a little bit with this. So, what are your thoughts on it? Because I never heard where I'm not saying the vehicles haven't been damaged. There he is. We're going to bring Earl right back in. So he reset his StreamYard. What's your thoughts on the damage of the vehicle?
Well, they were mad about something. Apparently, they didn't like that other guy.
No, they didn't. They really appreciate that.
Hey, Earl, you're out in the light now.
Yeah. I'm gonna move around. I'm gonna walk toward the front of my tree line here.
Okay.
Front of my house.
You get a better signal there?
Well, yeah, it's still on, I guess. I can't go inside. There's a tin roof here. You know how Mississippi is.
Yeah.
Wish I could reverse it.
Tin roofs are the new wave.
Let's see. Okay. I don't know if you can see this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything's good, brother.
That's my tree line.
Okay.
That's it.
How close is your closest neighbor, Earl, if you don't mind me asking?
Probably. Let's see. Shit. 75 yards. I live on a dead end road.
Okay.
So I don't have, there's only like 3 or 4 people on this street. Well, and they old, but they don't tell you shit. They won't talk about nothing going on around here.
Oh, really? They're pretty quiet when it comes to that theory, huh?
Oh man, I asked them the first year I was here. They slammed the door on me.
Really? Huh.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, they know. I mean, they know. But they won't. They won't.
They just don't want to admit it.
No, that's just like my grandparents. When me and my sister first seen one on their land, that's the old people. They don't tell nobody shit. They don't talk about nothing. That's just their ways.
Understood. But I think we need to come into the new age of information. It's a shame, but I do get and I do send respect to people that feel like I guess they're in that catch-22. If you ain't got nothing good to say, don't say nothing at all. Maybe for some reason they don't think it's good to talk about because of some of the things that we've learned, and they value it different than we do.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's just how they was raised, you know.
Well, and they don't want to get around the gossip circles, and then they get ridiculed and called crazy. And
Exactly.
I honestly think that's probably why about 90 to 95% of the sightings and incidents don't get reported, is because people don't want the blowback.
You're absolutely right. That's I felt that way for years. I mean, I've had some incredible encounters in my life, and I've got stuff I won't even talk about, Harley. And Mr. Larry Batson is the one that, you know, started talking to me about it. And so I went on his show one night after about 3 months of him talking to me, and here we are. You know.
So he gave you a future of good things. You know, you look at it that way. I mean, everything works for a reason. But is there anything that you wouldn't mind sharing with us that you feel could be of value to new researchers, the younger people who want to get into this in a proper way? Would you suggest paranormal equipment? Is there anything that you would? Well, you know, again, it's what your belief is and how you can share.
Right. Well, it's just my opinion. I mean, you know, everybody has their own opinion, but I've been doing this for over 40 years, and you know, I've lost 3 wives. I lost my family. I mean, it's just believing in what I know for a fact is here. I mean, I've had hands-on experience with them. Trust me. You can't just talk to anybody about that. And most people you meet think you're fucking crazy. So, you know, you just keep your mouth shut and keep doing what you're doing. But to all them new people wants to join in and do this, leave your guns and your 30-30s at home, man. There's been more sightings during the daytime than there ever has been at night. At night, you know, you can visit it. I mean, in the daytime you can visit it, but at night, that's their home. You know, that's what most people don't understand. That's their home. Of course, that's a lot of animals' home. You know.
Yeah, I have a freaky story I could share with you right now about this past weekend. Actually, do you want to hear it for a quick moment?
Sure.
Okay. So I got my wood shop. I do carvings up there, but it's not just for that. Okay, so it's like leisure, relax, get on the sexy tractor thing. You know, get the sun, put in the garden, all the healthy, good things to do. But I decided to go down over the hill into the strip mines. We call it part of Queenstown, up there in Carn City, Pennsylvania, and in the cut all the way in the back on this desolate road, going past Queenstown Hunt Club, is like an abandoned cemetery. Every once in a while, you'll see a family flower, so you know somebody was there. The place is so old and in such an odd place. Some of the graves look like that the coffins will soon be coming from the erosion out of the sides of the cliff. So I want you to place yourself here. I'm trying to look. Okay. So you have a mountain here on the left, you have a mountain here on the right, and everything down in between. It's like a 1,500 to 2,000 foot drop. Pull up the quad. It's night. It's dark. Sitting there, put the back up against the quad and scoping out. Got a light, looking for darkness, shutting it off, just listening. No sounds, nothing odd. Sitting there thinking, reflecting on a couple things earlier in the day, things I want to attack tomorrow. And just as soon as these thoughts are in my mind, I hear all this scuffling. You know, like scuffling. What the heck's that? You know, I'm in a cemetery, but yet the woods are right there. It surrounds everything. The only way to come in is on a dirt road that is like just so in such bad condition. It's pathetic. You really need a 4x4 or a quad to come in, or a high a high lift 4-wheel. So the only way anything would survive, and they couldn't survive, that had to pass, which would have been right behind me, which means it ran off the cliff. Now, in that moment, and I don't care what anybody says, you got time to do nothing except piss your pants. I didn't do that, thank God. But what I'm trying to describe is something that occurred. And it's like, okay, so what was that? It happened so fast, the speed of it, my mind thinking about something else. As I'm thinking, I'm getting this intelligence in my mind saying something's around you, something's going on. I couldn't even turn my neck. It happened so fast. And as fast as that happened, it went silent. And I said to David earlier, because I wrote to David and said, you're not going to believe this. This is freaking weird. So I shared it with him, got his thought, which was pretty much a big huh. And I get that. So what do you do the next day? You know it's in your head. The first thing I did was got the hell out of there. I immediately gave myself a little breathing time, a couple minutes, relaxed, said to myself, all right, the keys in the quad, you got this here, you got that there. Get on the quad, just leave. And I did. And at times I left with high speed. I ain't going to lie to you. I tried to make tracks out of the dark and there is no open roads up there. There is no safe road. I was back in the desolate part of the woods, an area of the woods. And by the time I would get up to the main road that would take me to my place, would take it not a substantial amount of time, but like 7 minutes running it hard. So thinking about it the next day, like go down into the ravine and do a little research. So was there some blood splattering? Yeah. Was there anything there? No. Something for whatever reason, and I think it was more than one thing, more likely possibly deer. And I can't even I don't even know if that's what it was, but I did find an indication of blood, so I know about the blood, and that's all I know about. But there was no meat, there was no fur, there was nothing that came into any type of visual in my eyes that I could say meant anything, except for the fact that it was so mind blowing. Now, one of the things that does stick into my mind though is the fact that Dave has talked about this. Mr. Dubois has talked about it. Mr. Benoit, if I'm saying everybody's name right, and you even, Dave, how they hunt and they use packs. Now, I didn't hear any coyotes. I didn't hear any howling. I didn't hear a hoot from an owl. I didn't hear no whistles. I didn't hear no tree knocks. All I got was, to me in my mind, was these animals were in fear of something, never thought about the path that they were on, and they just went off the goddamn hill. They just, boom, they're gone. And Merle, if you're still on, you've been in that cemetery, you know exactly where I'm talking about. And it's just a cliff. And again, you know,
ancient man used to hunt that way too. Drive animals off a cliff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Man, I could tell you a story right now. At the end of my road, I wish I could reverse this camera for y'all to see. At the end of my road, it used to be a skidder trail way back from the 60s. You know, they clearing timber back up in there. And we used to ride 4-wheelers up in there all the time. All right, you get about, half a mile in. There's a creek that runs through there that goes to Pearl River, that goes through Louisiana, Mississippi, and everywhere else. And there's a bunch of sloughs and everything else around here. But this creek is about, it's got to be at least 20, 25 feet wide. It's probably, if you stand on the very bottom to the top, it's probably 5.5, maybe 6 feet tall. All right. And it's full of limestone rocks. Well, all the water's gone now, but there's still about a foot of water in it, you know. And if you're riding a 4-wheeler back here and you don't know where you're going, you will get killed on this damn creek. I'm telling you. Well, we stop at a certain spot and there's a field to the right. it's like a open clearing in the wood line about 50 yards square, okay? And it looks like ryegrass, you might say. And when we used to ride scooters back up in there, we'd park right there by the creek because hell, we know where it was, you know. And one night we was up in there, and man, we heard something coming through them damn woods, and I'm telling you, it was like the fucking ground was vibrating. I mean, you could feel it. It was like it sounded like a sledgehammer hitting the ground. It was coming so hard, like boom, boom, and you could see the trees through the moonlight just sway, just like this shit. You know, I'm like, oh fuck, and I told my buddy that was with me. He's passed away now, but I told him, I said, man, you ready? He said, hell, I don't know. What is it? I said, let's find out. And he didn't know nothing about the Sasquatch stuff around here because, you know, he sleeps with a nightlight or used to. So I didn't want to spook him, you know. And man, all of a sudden, there was a buck that run out of that clearing. You can see the grass moving. The grass is 6-8 feet high, man. And we're sitting on scooters, right, drinking a beer. It's about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Hell, we ain't got nothing else to do around here. And you can see the grass swaying back and forth. You know something's running. It's coming through there.
Movement in it. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I was so intrigued. I figured it might be a little juvenile, you know. And it was a buck. I don't know if it was a 10-point or 12-point. But that summit's run out through there and jumped over me, and I'm at the line where the creek is, right? He jumped over me, and his back hoof hit the back of my skull and split it open, and he jumped smooth over that creek. And when he stopped on the other side, it looked like you'd been running a horse for probably 5 miles. He was soaking ass wet because I turned my light on him. He was just panting, looking around, and all of a sudden, here come that noise. And it come around the grass field where the tree line was, and you could see it coming. I mean, you could see it. It's like coming toward you, you know. And it got to the very end in front of that grass field in the tree line. That summit stopped. There was no noise. There was no birds. There wasn't shit. It was a bluff charge. What it was. I think we interrupted his meal, you know. And hell, we got out of there, you know. We got out of there quick. I went back the next afternoon. Yeah, the next afternoon I went back over there and I found 2 prints in 50 yards. I only found 2 prints, you know.
Right.
But now 2 o'clock in the morning, you sitting there drinking with your buddy. See, I already knew what it was. He had no clue. But I tell you, that, you know, if you don't respect them, it'll put the fear of God in you. You know what I mean? But that's just one instance. That was a bluff charge. But hell, I've heard him howl down here one night. You could see him coming to the road. I was sitting up under my carport and cooking on my grill, and he screamed so loud it vibrated my insides under my carport, and I'm probably 50 yards, 60 yards to the end of the street. And he screamed so loud and so hard, you could tell you could feel the muscles in it, you know. And that's all I heard. You know, some nights you can sit out here and I could hear tree breaks, you know. Sometimes I whistle a certain way to them, and then all of a sudden you can hear a flock of owls, like there's 50 owls around here, all at one time, you know, and then everything's quiet. Yeah. And I did that one night, and I got a recording. I recorded on my phone. I didn't post it on my page because I sent it to somebody else, you know, Will Jeving and all them. But it sounded like I couldn't make it out. It kind of sounded like a native, you know, Indian language. But then again, if you listen to it, it sounds like you play a cassette tape and fast forward. You know, like you know what I mean?
Right.
That's what it sounded like. And that lasted for about 30, 45 seconds. And never heard it again.
Now, Earl, when you hear the owl calls, do they ever morph like into a crow and then from there sound like excited chimpanzees?
It sounds like a bunch of owls in heat. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, it sounded like one or two. You could hear one here, then you hear another one over here, 20 yards away. And all of a sudden, there's another one behind you howling. And then before you know it, in like 5 or 10 seconds, it's like just a ball of them just talking, communicating, you know. I found deer legs in my yard. They used to leave me like hindquarters or front legs or whatever you call, you know, they just like you rip them off a deer.
Right.
Yeah. They gifted them
I
to
haven't
you.
had, sir.
They gift them to you.
Yeah, I haven't had any in a couple of years. Last time they left me about 8 of them.
Wow.
In my front yard, and I keep getting these flowers, and I don't know where the hell it is. They call them trumpet flowers. They like orange, and they look like trumpets. There ain't a tree in 50 miles of here that has trumpet flowers. So I don't know where they come from.
Might be from a tulip tree.
They leave them to me in a pile. I guess they orange and kind of red in the center with yellow.
Yeah,
I got a picture of one. Yeah, but there ain't no flower trees around me at all, anywhere. And they leave either 8 or 6. It's either one or the other. Whenever they leave them for me. But I haven't gotten any in a while. But like I said, you know, they follow the seasons, of course. You know, y'all know that. But you know, I know they back now, thank God. So I wish I could reverse this camera. Let me see. I'm gonna show you. I don't know if you can see it in the dark. Bear with me, fellas. I'm in Mississippi.
It's all good, brother.
I don't know if you can see this. This is the back of my house.
How bad?
It's a 150-year-old house that's being refurbished. Okay.
Okay.
In here should be.
If you can see, let me see where I'm pointing to some bits. If you can see right up there on top, you see the handprints? They're right below the eave. Can you see it?
I know you sent me a picture where one was like up against the wall right there. I believe that was the window. You took an outside picture where he was had his back to the wall, knowing that you were looking at him.
That was under my carport. Let me see if I can go up a little bit. It's getting dark. I don't know if you can see them. There's handprints right here. I haven't washed them off.
There's something up there.
Yeah,
they're like the clear spots.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow, can we fingerprint them things? I want to know who that one is. We might have to name them. Wow, yeah. He would have to be a 10.5 foot tall at least to do that, wouldn't he?
At least 9 or more, because that's his handprint. And if you turn around here, here's my bedroom window. So that's the 3rd screen I done put on it. Yeah, that's a juvenile doing that. But I don't know about that other one. But that's been on there about 3 years. I ain't washed it off yet.
You got good pictures of it though?
Oh yeah, I'll send them to you. Let me show you. You talking about the one? I don't know if you showed Mr. David the picture of under the carport yet. My carport, my light ain't on. But
no, you know, I rely on everybody's respect. If they allow me to do that, then I share it.
You can share any picture you want, but oh man, my damn door.
I know. That information will never go anywhere. I won't even put it into the book.
Okay, with this right here, I don't know if you can see it. I done locked myself out of the house. This piece right here, can you see this?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm 6'2". Okay, his head, well, you seen the pictures, was right here. Matter of fact, you can still see the smudge prints if you can look real good.
Oh, I know what I saw. I know what I saw in the picture, so I understand it.
That's still the hair smudge on my glass right now. I haven't even wiped it off yet. and I'm 6'2", and I'm right here, and his head was like right here. Yeah, and
So-
that was a week. That was a week ago.
What do you think that was? Like about 7 foot then? 7.5?
It had been 7.5. Easy.
Yeah, David,
Yeah.
he shared a picture with me. He was on the inside. He took a picture, and this fella just like switched, put his back up against the wall, and tucked his head in. And
Yeah,
you could see the whole anatomy.
Yeah, you can see the fur. When I blew it up for you, you can see his shoulder and his arm on the windowsill. You can see the fur up against my window.
Right.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
But they are smart enough to know you're doing that, or they're using trickery like peekaboo, and maybe in some ways that's part of a childhood something for them, as just how they function. It's part of who they are. We look at it. Maybe I shouldn't say childhood, but it would seem like something a child would do that they do. But for him to come in that close under the carport to the window. That's pretty ballsy.
Yeah, he just wanted
to think the curiosity of a child, because if that's a male, he's not that old.
No, he's not that old.
You figure at about age 5, a male is 6 feet tall, and then they grow about 6 inches a year.
Right.
So if he's 7.5 feet tall, he'd probably be about an 8-year-old.
Well, yeah. In your guys' opinions, and we're talking like age and height, we could only assume how old do they really get. So I'm going to ask you, how old do you think one of these beings, how long is their life expectancies?
I would think it'd be pretty similar to ours. Yeah. But, it all depends on the cards life deals you, You could get sick and get some kind of illness like a flu or a bronchitis or something can take you out.
Sure.
Or some of
the they have like we are, of course. Now I seen one on the river up in the Delta of Mississippi at one of my spots, and it looked at me, and it was as wide as my damn truck. I'm down here, but it wouldn't get really, really close to me. It'd get about probably 50 yards, and he'd walk back and forth and stop and he wouldn't turn. He wasn't hiding, but you could tell he was old. He was gray and white. You could tell, man. And he wasn't no baby. I guarantee you, he was every bit of 10, 11 foot tall and a mass as big as my truck. He was old. He's been there forever. And he just kept walking back and forth real slow. And he turned around and looked at me and turned back around and just walked up the hill down to the creek. He wasn't no hurry at all, at all.
I spotlighted a big male once, and on all fours, he was still 7.5 feet tall.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Was he doing the Spider-Man walk?
No, he just froze.
Oh, okay.
Because I heard some noise over at my neighbor's property, and he's got like a car trailer, and he liked to do racing and demolition derby and all that kind of stuff. He had a car over there, and there was a camper over there, and they go to bed early because he gets up like before the sun comes up. And I could hear this tinny noise like somebody over there dinking around. So to be the good neighbor, I got in my truck, I grabbed my spotlight and my pistol, and I went down and I spotlighted the area, didn't see nothing, got down to his place and backed into his driveway so I wouldn't shine my lights in his living room, turned around and come back. And when I got to the spot, like right by the property line, he was there, and there was some dust kicked up from the truck. So at first I wasn't quite sure what I was looking at, but once I realized what it was, I just laid my pistol on the seat and thought, oh God, I hope he doesn't charge.
Yep. That's right.
And, he was huge. And now I don't know about the ones where you're at, but the ones here are black.
Yeah.
And
there's one black one.
He kind of almost had like a tapering mane, the way his hair went down like to his lower back.
Uh-huh.
you know how like on a bodybuilder's back, how it kind of comes to that V. About
Yeah,
the bottom of the V, it kind of stopped, but it was almost like a mane coming down there like that. And of course, he had the big old beard, and he just seemed real nervous. And I tried talking to him, and then real gracefully, he went through a break in the fence, and I pulled up, and he was gone. You know, so I don't know. He could have, but he went onto my property. So when I went back to the house, I just drove the truck right up to the porch, right up in the yard.
Yeah. I done got so used to them around here, man. They don't really bother. I mean, you know, if you're not scared of them, you know, if people tell you you ain't scared of them, they're crazy. I mean, come on, you know, because that's always right here, you know. But I've had so many encounters with them and stuff like that. I've just, you know, hey, after all these years, if they wanted me, they could have had me, you know.
If they wanted to hurt you, you'd be toast. Yeah,
I was pretty
I'm not afraid of the ones here because I trust them.
Yeah.
And they trust
I trust
me.
them. And people call me crazy because I respect them like I do. And I'm like, well, you've never been in my situation. You know, you don't know what I've been through with it. You know, you don't know what I've been through with it. So, you know.
Yeah, none of us know these things. None of us know these things like you guys do. I mean, we might have experiences. We might hear a tree knock. We might hear a whoop. We might hear a scream. But you guys are describing a whole different level of something that you have knowledge of. And it's no different for someone that says, hey, I grew up in a haunted house. Well, and I learned to live with it. Well, there you have it. So have these guys living amongst them. So now, you know, so there's probably more you guys out there living amongst them, and I'm going to find every one of you.
If you see one, if you're lucky enough to see one in your lifetime, consider yourself fucking blessed. I'm telling you. I've seen way more than one. I'm sure David has. But if you see one,
at one time was 4.
Sir?
Most I've seen at one time was 4.
4?
Yeah. I had 4 juvenile males surround me.
Yeah, I've been in that situation before. Yeah,
I never have.
Yep.
I won't. Yep. I'm not going to sit here and make up. No, I never have. And honestly, how do you guys handle something like that? I mean, were they just observing? Did they back off? How did that work out?
Well, they watching. They observe you. Trust me. If you see one over here making noise, don't worry about the other 2 or 3 or 4 behind you or up in the tree or surrounding your ass on this end.
Yeah, they're flanking you.
They travel in tribes, man. they'll flank your ass. They'll run you down their way where they know they're gonna have you. You know, when you think when you think you running to get away from them, hell no, you doing what they want you to do because there's other more waiting on you. They flanking you, man. You know, you doing what they want you to do. You know.
So, all right, now, like some of the places like where you guys are at, I've been doing a lot of research on a different narrative to some of this stuff, as like National Forest and some of these other theories, missing 411. We have different aggressiveness that I guess are common within these entities. Some maybe being a little more hostile. Some who are more friendly, who might take an adult by the hand and lead them into a safe zone, so to speak. We hear about a lot of that. I was just wondering, in your areas, though, is anybody familiar with any type of underground military installations or anything like that? Are you aware of anything like that in your areas or jurisdictions of your arm's reach where you do your researching or live?
Not where I'm.
Not that you're aware of. Not at least not what we're aware of, I would say. Okay. All right. No,
I've seen military helicopters, but pretty few and far between.
Yeah, I get that.
But then, you know, Missouri's got, I don't know, we got a couple different air bases.
Yeah. I live by an airport about 2 miles down the road, so I see military planes and cargo planes out every day here. You know?
Right.
I'm kind of in an area that is a little bit of a no-fly zone because it's right along the path where the air ambulance goes.
Okay.
And that flies by all the time.
Right.
It
Yeah,
follows the highway, so
Right.
and it goes between a town near, that's about a half hour away, and then I don't know if they go to the town that I live closest to by and then turn around and go back, or if they go across the Iowa border to a town over there. But obviously they got to get their certain amount of flying time in, but
Absolutely.
that passes by quite a bit.
Okay. Well, the reason I was going into that, but before I do, I'm just going to make a comment there. I never thought about what you just said, Dave, like a fly zone for medical helicopters. And you might be onto something there in one way. However, I wouldn't call it in my area of Pennsylvania no fly zone because we are seeing these rescue helicopters and medical transport helicopters to hospitals and stuff that bring people in, what they call, I think, the life flights. When somebody's life is in danger and they bring them in. But you're absolutely correct. They do use a pattern path. But I have seen other military, low-flying, gray, colored military style airplanes flying really low. Like I'm talking low and following the roads in ways of like if they're looking for something or they came from something like maybe the cloak side of a mountain. I don't know. But now we're starting to hear even up in my way that we might have some type of underground installation there. I mean, we have like almost 270 in the United States. So, typically, I mean, what are we dealing with in these places? And the reason I bring it up is still, and I'm not infatuated with this, is the fact that we have so many missing. Could it correlate with the fact in ways that they're just trying to, and I may have said this before, they trying to warn us, like throwing rocks saying, get out of here. Maybe because we are not going to ever be able to protect ourselves against possibly some other thing. And they're just being watchers to us and maybe in certain ways, you have any thoughts on that kind of stuff? Because I am hearing about national parks now where there are parking lots with white cars in them, and you'll see a brown sign with yellow print, and it says it's restricted area. But when you go and you spy with a drone, if you're lucky enough to get your drone back, people haven't gotten their drones back. I'm finding that out now. Also, the plate areas on the cars say United Nation.
Huh.
So I wanted to throw that out there because this is a fact of information that's really starting to now leak all over the place. Maybe it's because of the particular time we're in and people are really looking into, exposure and research to help us in all ways. But yeah, so national parks do have areas that they don't want you in. They frown on it. And if you are lucky enough to observe, get in, or use a drone in some way, and I know they do an inspection now when you go into some of these larger parks. They want to know when you're in and when you're out, and you have to check in, you have to check out.
You have to have a card. They punch a card.
Right. So we have all this kind of stuff going on now. It just makes me wonder on how, and should we reflect into this different and all these stories that we'll probably get into doing different types of shows, as far as finding children 5 miles from the spot, and there's no way that they should have ever been gotten there or would have had knowledge of how they gotten there. And you hear a story about a bear taking care of a child because the child doesn't know no other way to describe what it's seen. The only thing that makes sense to the child's mind is a bear helped me. We hear comments and these are the things that are happening surrounding those areas. And that's why I brought it up, just to try to understand, are you maybe in a hot spot of a different type as well? Not just Bigfoot, but maybe some type of other military intelligent type of thing. Because a lot of people say, is it possible man had his hands into this? Well, we're now learning that Darwin's theory of man was actually a paid-for paperwork through some very, very wealthy people who were trying to just put an ideal in our mind as to how all this has transpired for man through the years. A narrative of bullshit, we'll say.
It's bullshit. Nobody will ever know what the government's up to or what they're doing now. Nobody. I mean,
Right.
you know, look at Area 51. You know, you brought that up. They just built 3 underground places, man, and nobody knows why. Why? You know, they say there's nothing in there to start with. Bullshit. This shit been in there since the 50s, man. You know?
Yeah, since it was new.
Nope.
Yeah, you don't build that for nothing, of course. You know,
Exactly.
and even if you're trying to hide technology from a different country, it makes no sense on the size and the platform. And then you have a power plant that is not very far from it that uses 2 times the amount of power than a normality of an entire city. What the hell are they powering down there? Is that part of where we're picking up in the atmosphere these electromagnetic charges when you use dowsing rods and they go nuts, or you use some of the paranormal equipment now that comes up and they just flatline them?
Or could it be related to Rothschild? You see what I'm saying?
Well, that's actually where the Darwin, who do you think paid for that hypothesis? That is
Rothschild.
exactly, they're the ones who actually paid for that.
Yep.
You know?
See, you know how, do you know actually how deep Area 51 is?
11 levels from what I understood last when I talked and spoke to some really good people, and I was friends before his demise with Stanton Friedman.
I thought they had 17 levels.
Well, I mean, I could only reflect back to where I know positive information I could be able to give. Now,
but who knows? There could be 100 for all we know.
Well, there are some theories.
Exactly.
There are theories that there are what they call belt and gateways that go down as far as the depth of feet that would probably match that hypothesis. Now, if you go into the Phil Schneider story that was all over everywhere and he was lecturing on it, he's no longer with us. And that's a very strange thing as well, occurrence. But look what he ran into when they dug. And he also, surprisingly enough, he never specifically gave every statement, but I heard through people a voice and importance that reflect into these different levels of shows who write books, some who've been prime ministers of defense and different things, have leaked out enough information that speculates a lot of things on a lot of levels. But the Phil Schneider story really does talk about an absurdity of alien beings. And that's how he got injured as bad as he did, because it's what is now known as the War of the Aliens, the same that you might reflect back to where even Bill Tompkinson spoke of about the battle over L.A., where the spaceship came in and we shot up like 1,140 some missiles at it and couldn't penetrate the barrier of what was protecting it.
Yeah, all those AA guns and everything, and they had the spotlights on it.
Right.
A couple
and it went on.
Got hurt from shrapnel from the shells.
Right, and it went on for hours, literally.
Yeah, and they were shooting it with the 50 cals and everything else, and
right. And then, I mean, if you want to reflect in a little different, we could Kicksburg, not because it's a neighbor to me, but that's another strange story of event, and all the big platform people talk about it over and over and over. But there's a fascination in it, and there's always just a little tidbit of more information comes out. We do find other people, relatives, and so forth. Barney and Betty Hill. I mean, look at that. Now there's speculations on there when she was under hypnotic regression. Everything that she described matched now to her clothes. They finally still had the dress that she had on that was kept and cared for. When they opened it up and they compared the notes and the cassette player, or the reel-to-reel tape recording of the event of her being regressed on the information, she gave the information where they were injecting her with needles and so forth. And they went to the clothes now. It was like a purple garment, like a dress. And believe it or not, in all the areas, and I'm not saying every single one, but what they did found of that made a lot of good sense and evidence was the fact that there were holes. They never took the clothes off the woman in her abduction, and that they were able to match up how her anatomy was to what she was describing as pain and the facts of the communications that was being, I guess, telepathically given to her or verbally given to her in some mannerism. So now the clothes match the body, and not only match the body of the description, but actually match the testimony under the aggression.
Yeah.
The regression. I'm sorry. Weird stuff, guys. Weird stuff. But if we keep researching, we will prevail. We will get more on, and we have a lot more to talk about in the future when it comes to things like this. And paranormal, it's like, is it paranormal or is it something else? Well, there's so many different levels. There's so much we have to put together, whether it's history or not. One of the things that brings me back to Bigfoot and then even Dogman, because Dogman is like a very huge scenario of topic as well. And we don't touch enough on that. However, that's a different platform of people and certain areas that seem to fall into the criteria. Have any of you guys in your areas ever encountered or heard story of dogmen and your locations? And if not, the reason I'm bringing it up is just for the fact is maybe they don't get along real well. Maybe it's arch enemy kind of thing.
I heard a story that was about 100 miles west of me. And a woman was being menaced by a dog man. And she was going to get away from it. And two Bigfoot grabbed the thing and restrained it. And she was able to get in her car and leave. And that's about all there is to the report.
Huh.
But again,
they grabbed it and restrained it. And she was able to escape. But she was in fear of her life, figuring it was going to kill her and eat her.
Shit, I guess so.
Yeah.
Michael, did you get them pictures I sent you of the tree peaker?
When did you send them? Because I'm not online right now.
Oh, I sent them to you there. I think I sent them to you yesterday, I think, or the day before, or I might not have. I got everybody that I know, especially in my group, and
right.
the people that's not in my group that have seen these pictures swear up and down it's a juvenile. It's a juvenile squatch. But they swear up and down it's a damn dog man. And I went over there the next day and took pictures of the prints. And they're not Sasquatch prints.
Oh, really?
No.
Could you describe what the print looked like?
Yeah, the ground was wet. You know, it's been raining for 2 days. And I was walking my dog along the tree line, well, by the road, you know, and I kept hearing something. It's a weird noise, like something hurt. You know what I mean? Like a dog squealing or something. And every time I turned around, it would stop. And I heard it from all the way at the end of the tree line till we got by my house. And every time I turned around and stopped, I couldn't hear nothing. And you could hear something walking. I mean, you see how close I am to the wood line.
Right.
You could hear whatever the hell it was walking. And finally, I turned my phone on pictures, and I turned around. I just started snapping fucking pictures, you know, and I caught something on picture, and I didn't catch one. I caught 3 of them, and I didn't know this till a friend of mine looked at it and told me what it was. I'm like, a dog man? Man, ain't no way. There's no the hell. That's a juvenile squatch, bro. Ain't no the hell with a dog man. And he said, man, you need to go back over there and see if you get any prints of it. I went, all right, I'll go tomorrow. So I went back over there and I got prints. And now the ground's still wet. and it's got muddy water in it, but you can fucking clearly see the prints. I took 3 prints of three different prints. I took pics of 3 different prints. You can see it from the end to the end with the fingers and the claws, you know. And I waited on it to dry up so I get a cast of it, but by the time it dried up, I couldn't get a cast of it, you know. But I do have the pictures, and I got them. I got pictures of the prints, and I sent it to a friend of mine. I posted it on my page, and somebody sent it to that damn NUTV crap.
Oh, that
I filed,
MVTV.
I
Yeah.
filed, I filed fucking charges against them. Some bitches. They took it off their screen, you know. But everybody that knows me on my page, all my friends know that's my shit because it's right across my house. But
Yeah, that's why I always ask for permission, Earl. I never will just do anything, and we've had some discussions that go much deeper. That I'm never again. Those are in confidence between us, and they stay there forever.
Thank you,
But
bro.
I always welcome you if you want to ever take a step forward. There's much more to the credibility that comes with this gentleman, and I'm just going to leave it at that. I'll say no more. The experience that he's had are just mind blowing, and I know it for a fact. I know what I seen. I know what I saw, and some of the again. I'm going to stop there on that. We'll save it for if that day ever comes another time. But thank you for sharing what you could on that as far as the print. I want to share something with you. I think I talked to Dave about this. This was up in PA in the National Forest. And because Dave was describing a little bit of a whimpering or a noise, a young couple was walking on a trail. And they were hearing something like what Dave just described. And they didn't know what it was. They weren't sure it was coming from. They kept going forward, but they started getting leery. They looked at each other. They made faces, frowns at each other, like, what the hell are we hearing? They go a little further. It gets quiet. And as they come into an opening off to their side, I don't know if it was left side or right side, if they were walking north, east, or south or west, but all of a sudden, in their vision, they see a dogman around a kill, acting like a dog that was excited to see their master, pouncing all around the kill, playing with it, ripping at it, not really biting into it. Maybe it was making sure it was dead. They saw this thing. They didn't know what to do. It saw them. It kind of like took off back into the tree line because the kill was out in a little bit more of an open zone. But they said in its actions, they described it as a growling, whimpering, excited, but it was on all fours. If it would have stood up, it would have been 6 to 7 foot tall. It had very high canine ears, a very pronounced snout, an anatomy of almost man versus beast of a dog.
Yeah.
And they just hightail that. They just hightail that. Now, we've been hearing a lot about that kind of stuff going on in Pennsylvania. There's a place also up here they call the Falls up in Somerset County, between Somerset and Donegal.
There's also 2 places in Ohio, too.
Oh, you're right. There's numerous reports coming in. And in case anybody forgotten, you just joined in, let me shout this out real quick. Saturday, the 30th, the annual Paranormal Conference with guest speakers talking about lecturing on Bigfoots, dogmen, hauntings, UFOs, and more. There's going to be a number of guests there. Bill Rigby, everybody knows Great Bill. Mary M. Fabian will be there. Kevin Paul, James Carg, Kathleen Martin. They're all going to be talking to the audience, and it's going to be from 10 to 7 in the Butler County. I forget what the building's called. Forgive me for that. But if you need information on it, if you're from Pennsylvania, make it up there. I will be there live in person. Not that makes a difference. I want to learn and get anything that I can. Plus, a lot of people support the platform, support all us. I need to get up there and say hello, meet with everybody, and just spend some time with them, get the scoop on things, share stories, and so forth. So that's going to be a fun time. I wanted to just share that out. And also, don't forget you're listening to Studio 10 Broadcasting, 10 o'clock talks. This is America, Disclosing Uncensored. And we are live from the Dark Radio Network Project. That's a lot of words, of a lot of meaning. But you know what? It gives me a lot of ways to hide.
Hey,
Just
hey
saying.
Dave.
Yeah, Earl, I've got a tip for you. If you find a print that's got water in it, if you get a turkey baster, you can suck the water out of it, and then you'll be able to cast it.
Yeah, well, I didn't have one.
Well, I'm just saying for future reference, you know, if you had
I knew that, but you know, I'm single because of I follow my forest beings, and so I, you know, usually I have none of that shit. They all take it with them, so.
It makes a good point though for everybody else too. I mean, for the young researchers who are carrying plaster, maybe you think of it. I mean, you know, how hard could it be to stick a turkey baster in it? You could run into a print that has a puddle, and if you delicately work with it like a crime scene, and take your time, you might be able to dry it out some to where you can get some type of really great casting. So that's great information for everybody else out there.
Another thing with the casts, take and put sticks in it, like rebar. Save you from breaking it later. And if you cast one and you didn't put it in, if you're using plaster, you can always lay a couple sticks on it and put another coat of plaster on the backside, and it'll stick to it and give you some reinforcement and save it from getting broken.
All right. Since we're all sharing secrets, I'm going to give one. Floor Leveler by Henry or anybody else. The white powder, mix it up, pour it in, works the same way, activates really quick. Floor people use it to level. It's very durable. It's very, very strong. It's actually stronger than plaster itself. And it works the same way. Just a little bit of water. It could be dirty water. It could be clean water. It will depends on the quality of the color that you want. It still shows up white. If you choose it to be another color, you can actually dye the water and enhance it to any color you want. Maybe I'm telling too much. We'll start seeing things. We'll start seeing the big redfoot out there, you know, or something like that. But it's true. Floor leveler. There's just so many things we could do without a doubt. Hey, David, tell everybody about your group, A Life with Bigfoot, and how they can become more involved and join. Is that what it is? A Life with Bigfoot?
A Life with Bigfoot, yeah. I mean, we're on Facebook. We welcome about anybody. We're a non-kill group, you know, and we try to keep it clean without, you know, a bunch of profanities and stuff because there's kids on there. And I know a lot of the women, they don't want to hear it, you know. But we got a pretty good group. We post different things on, and coming up in Bigfoot Quest magazine's next issue, I've got the story going in there of when I got surrounded by 4 juvenile males that I, you know, when you read that I put up on my timeline. That'll be in the magazine.
Yeah, I didn't want to like spill it out. I was hoping that you would get to it, and if you didn't, I was going to remind you. I had a note right here on it, brother. Promise you, I had a note right in there. I know we haven't been talking, but it's, you know, I'm trying to go through a different analogy on how to determine to keep this platform going impressively stronger and getting our resources and informations is out there better than I have been. I guess I was losing a little focus with all the work. So I've been dealing with that. Earl, you also have a group out there, right, on Facebook?
Yeah. It's called Beings of Mississippi.
Beings of Mississippi.
Yeah, I don't post. It's all live when I do it. It's all live. What I see, you see. If I get hurt or I get killed, you see it. I mean.
Thank you.
I encourage all my members to post shit that's live or real pictures. I don't do blurry pictures. I don't do stuff with red circles in it. I don't do foggy pictures. I don't post other people's pages on my group. I don't promote other people's pages. This is just my personal blog, and I'm lucky enough to have probably 140, 150 members. But it's a real deal group. I got a lot of people on there. Will Jevings on there, Larry, of course, is on there, and many, many more. And so I'm proud of it.
And you should be. I mean, you know what? Less is sometimes better. Bottom line.
Yeah.
Less is sometimes better. I mean, really. I mean, I think Dave could speak on his behalf of even saying that in ways. I can in my ways. You can have astronomical numbers, but you only have so many people who truly stay and give some type of reflection of great interest. And they're the rock stars that stand out. I don't understand why we have so many people that want to be involved in a group and don't even make a comment to something that's worth making a comment on or being objective to something.
Yeah, they just want to join the group. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I mean, I don't accept like YouTube armchair people. I mean, you go to another group for that shit. I mean, I'm kind of like if you're not on my level, you know what I'm saying? Don't waste your time on my group. I mean, I'm not no YouTube person. I don't post shit off of YouTube on my channel. It's all real. It's all what you see. You know what I mean? I got to ask. Well, yeah, you still there?
Yeah.
I missed you for a second. You wanted to ask the question to one of us?
Yeah, I'd like to ask David something, if you don't mind.
Sure.
No, please do.
What's the closest you ever, hold on a minute. They're trying to get a ticket around here. What's the closest you ever been to a Sasquatch?
Within arm's reach.
Okay.
And like one time there was one, I went out on my deck and I've got like a 2-person booth out of a restaurant on there. And I sat down and I heard a stomach growling directly below me and it wasn't mine. So that's pretty close.
How long you been following?
I've been interacting with them for the past decade. April 2nd was the 10-year anniversary when I had my first sighting.
That's right. We did a show with you on it for that date.
For 10 years?
Yep. Since
cool.
I saw one on my property and, I decided I didn't want to live in fear of them, so I reached out to them.
That's the only way to do it.
I bought the house outright, so it's not like I could just move away.
Right. I was just curious. I didn't mean nothing by it. I was just curious.
Yeah. Past 10 years. And, like here, you get outside of my house and on the west side from the house, it's probably 20 feet the woods start.
Right.
And on the other side, it's probably, a little better than that. Probably about 35 feet from the house, and then you're in the woods.
Right.
I got a driveway going on that side.
Yeah. Every day is new here. Every day.
I've had them force open the basement door 3 different times. I've had them raid the kitchen a couple times. One time I went to let the dogs out and the doorknob was so mangled I had to take it apart to get the door open to let the dogs out in the morning.
Yeah,
I don't lock the doors because I figure if they're going to come in, they're going to try and make sure it ain't noticed what they did anyway. And it's better than having them destroy the door trying to get in.
Well, if they going to come in, they coming. I mean.
Oh, yeah.
There ain't no doubt.
We've talked about stuff like that on here, like with some stories that have a lot of relevance and truth behind it, reports and things. You try to jump into the basket or bucket of stories, and yeah, there's going to be things in there, but you got to really look in them all, and once you find something that gets your attention, your gut's going to be your best friend, and it's probably going to give you, at least for me, it works that way. And then I go and I look it up. I want to know everything about this story. I want to know if there's police reports. I want to know who talked in the reports. I really try to bring that type of representation in when I share stories, because we are a focus of real stories, real encounters. That's my belief of who we are. We are the real truth, not because of what you yourself developed, Dave, during that period in time, but the fact that, you know, it's a credible statement. If you try to just be honorable to people and give the best information that we can. I agree with you guys immensely on both sides here tonight. I don't know if we touched enough of everything. We're the type of three that you could sit down for 3-4 hours and probably just lose track of all time. And we've done that in shows before. And it's hard to keep an audience focused for that long. But we seem to do it. We do seem to do it.
I'd like to talk to David about something one day. I'm sorry, I don't have an ink pen in my pocket. That's what I keep looking for. I was going to write down your group.
Here, take this one. I got one, brother.
Yeah. Here, let me get it. Here you go. Come on.
And give me something back. Give me something back. Give me a beer back.
Damn it, that ain't funny. Yeah.
See, right now we're all in the wrong part of the United States. We should be on somebody's porch right now, partying, talking this shit out, because there's so much information to discuss. There really is. And, but one thing
there's only certain people. You know, it depends what kind of information you have, and you know what I'm talking, like me and you talked about. And there's only certain people, you know, that I talk to. You know that. Yeah. And I like to talk to David. You know,
and you'd hate to share something with someone that's pro-kill and cause harm to one of them.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. I've lost marriages. I've lost relationships. I've lost a lot of things in my life because of what I try and protect my forest friends, man. And I've been doing it so long. I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, if you don't like it, I mean, if they don't like it, you know, don't even talk to me. I mean, because I'm not going to change now. I mean, I
consider the ones here like family.
Exactly. I do too. I mean, that's, you know, they call me crazy for having, you know, for believing in them the way I do. You know, I haven't, you know, and I'm like, well, whatever. And I'll just end that story right there, because I'm not gonna waste my breath on anything for people like that. You know,
well,
I have very much
here, but everybody wants to bring a damn gun.
Yeah, shit.
Like, you got to be that scared. Just stay home.
Yep. Sleep with your nightlight on.
I do. But that's because I can't see if I wake up, you know?
Well, like one guy, I told him, I said, yeah, you can come visit. And I said, if he gets scared, you can hold my hand. He got kind of mad at me.
You sound like me, David. Quit whipping.
You know,
we'll be over in a minute. Damn.
You know, I know you guys are out there having a great time with this kind of talk right now. I get that. But you have to understand also, too, there are people that, you know, they're coming into, like, you know, this place that's different, and they have interest in it. And, of course, they're probably going to have a little bit of a fear. They're not used to it. But if you need to extend your hand out, you know, I mean, that's not so bad. I mean, I sleep with a nightlight on. I'm not afraid to admit it. I'm a man. I cry if somebody dies, if it hurts me. And any man that doesn't admit that, you know, just isn't, you know, dealing with true feelings. I'm just saying. Not trying to be, you know, I'm not trying to come down on anybody. But I do want to ask you, Earl, something. I know this is a private page to you. Do you mind if I join it? Something like that. Sure. I mean, I won't steal case. You have my word. I won't steal case files. If there's something really interesting, I'd ask you to bring it forth from your group somehow.
Share my page, brother. Join it.
All right. I just wanted to make sure you were good on that, and I want to get you and Dave in touch, because I have a feeling I know what you want to talk to him about, and I may be right, I may be wrong.
You're right.
Dave, I gotta tell you, there's some really fascinating stuff to more of, and it's not even all been shared to me, but it's pretty mind blowing and it's very deep. And again, it's whatever Earl wants to do. Everybody out there, share this show, get it out there. This is information that's highly credible from good, credible people who live are lucky enough and more than fortunate enough to live amongst them, near them, get sightings of them, get the sounds, get the smells. They hear the bellies growl. Dave, I got to take my hat off to you on that one. I really do. I don't know in that moment what it would feel like to me. Like, of course, I had like some encounters of footprints. I threw some analogies out, and then something else even came up. I'm talking to Earl about earlier about a den that I had on my property when I first bought it. But here's the thing. I never knew what it like. I never thought in the moment what it was. I automatically thought to myself, this is a bear den. It's a story we can get into another time. But
you're kind of in that loop, aren't you, of where they say there's a lot of dogmen in Pennsylvania? Because I know that circle goes all the way down by Gettysburg, and I used to live in Gettysburg.
Right.
A long time ago. Yeah.
I mean, we're in the crust of what seems to be the seasonal travel for these beings. And I don't know if they all travel. I don't know if Bigfoot has a different way of how they move into different areas for foraging for foods and different things. I don't know that. Same as
man.
Yeah, same, but I can't even make the same. I can't even make the an analogy for dogmen. Do they stay all winter? I mean,
they're going to exploit available food sources. We can all agree on that.
Yep.
It's like,
you have to have food. You have to have water.
Where you get a salmon run. When the salmon run comes, they're going to be there feasting.
Yeah.
I'll travel for that, but like, for example, where I'm at, game is plentiful and they have no need to migrate or move.
Yeah, right. They go after that protein, that directness. Yeah, another thing that's been coming up in Pennsylvania that's been shared around the last 6 months or so, I don't bring it up a lot, but the fact that the power lines and swooping deer out of power line areas when they're out there playing and so forth. I've gotten my third story out of Pennsylvania and Ohio, one in Ohio, one in Pennsylvania. But a lot of hunters used to hunt because the deers would come into the clearing and graze and the power line areas. And that's where the big guy, the big black something, comes out, swoops them up, and takes off with one.
Yeah.
Just saying, it's something I don't share a lot, but it's worth mentioning because a lot of guys do go out there and they go to hunt, and you might be surprised at what you might see. Again, as Earl said, not everybody's ever going to be lucky enough to have an encounter. We all have different encounters, but you can have one of something. I don't care if you see a ghost tomorrow and you're looking right at it. You see something. It doesn't fit the criteria of this reality. You're questioning it. You saw it. You question yourself. You re-question yourself. All of a sudden, you become a believer of many different levels of many different things. Because hypothetically, if you use that to analyze an existence of what you do not understand, it helps you understand the possibility of other things. And we all see them. And that's the fascination of how big this group really is. It's not just about Bigfoot when we come out here or dogmen. It's ghost reportings. It's UFO reportings. Something captures man and woman. It doesn't matter, but it's the influence. And that's the opening of the page to the book that gets us into these. For you guys, maybe it was more about the being known as Sasquatch, Yeti, Bigfoot, or one of the other 100 names, Grass Man, Hairy Man. I mean, we could go on and on with all the albino white thing, It's impressively big. But
and they call them boogers.
Right. It's like religion, though. If you think about it, every culture has a different religion in ways, and I'm not picking on religion, but every culture has a different name. They're all seeing it. we can't all be wrong because religion is worldwide, good and bad in ways. And so same we hear with the Sasquatch and other entities and cryptos that we don't understand yet.
Well, like the Native American tribes, they all got a different name for it. So, and just like in Europe, when they would spot, what they would call a man beast or hairy man, they, depending on where you went, they all had different names for them. And it's the same,
Right.
And think about it, Bigfoot is probably where the legend of the boogeyman comes from, because they call them boogers, boogeyman. And, that was a story you'd tell children to scare them. But there was some basis in truth on it. Don't play by the woods at night or the boogeyman will get you.
Yep. Don't go outside. Yep.
Yeah. And didn't Disney actually promote some kind of hairy man, kind of like Bigfoot entity who hid in the closet? And so,
Yeah, they made a cartoon film out of it and they banned it years later.
Yeah, I mean, so, to me, it just says what they don't want us to see, what they want us to learn is the conditioning of everything. So, I mean, it's just so big. The picture's so big there.
Look at Popeye, Alice the Goon and Goon Island. What were they? They weren't like normal people.
Yeah. Look at the Jetsons. We're living it. Now we have these transports that can basically miniature helicopters and electric helicopters. I mean, we are now into this whole thing of sophistication of AI technology, robotics, different types of plant-based foods now coming out where they have machines to prepare things. Everything you would go on to Jetsons to watch, to push a button for this or have Rosie, the housemaid. I mean, we are living in the reality of it. It's a big scenario of things. So you guys want to clock up with anything to finish out on? We've been on for quite some time, and I appreciate you guys, but I don't want to cut anybody short here. We can always do a part 2.
That's fine. That's great with me. I love it.
Earl, you can find me on Facebook if you type in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, because I've got that, David Parker, Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Okay.
Either that or I'll send you his link copy, because you have a link. Everybody that's a member has a link.
I was just fixing to ask you to do that. And I'm going to send you that picture of the prints and the tree, the pictures I took when this is over.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. No pressure, but please do. I welcome them. And
I fill my mind because I'm a mechanic. I'm gonna forget in about 20 minutes.
Oh, okay. You inhale too much brake dust and ether, huh?
No, sir. I'm fine.
Oh man, good old asbestos, isn't it lovely? It's what makes the world go round, though. Hey, it's what made money. I mean, if you think about it, we started out with bone, then we went to celluloid and cellutex and all these other different varieties of plastics and it's technology. But thank you guys. I appreciate it so much. I think it was a very successful show. Earl, you're a delightful guest, very informative. David, you're always, and you never cease to not amaze me. You really do. In the future, I know we're going to get together and putting a platform together. I really want to bring the best of what we've been able to create on the studio here to try to format a larger thing where we can all get together and congregate over the informations, the most important stories, your most important stories, things that connect us all and help us grow in the community that gets more information out to people. And I know you will play a good part to it. Just make sure you bring the whiskey and cigars. It might last 3-4 hours. You never know when guys start to talk their shit. Yeah. That's what we plan on doing. Besides, everybody, I appreciate you all watching tonight. I really, really, really do. And look for me. I'll be on Friday, America in Crisis. Sorry if I haven't been on enough for you guys lately, but I was getting a lot of flack from some of the groups that I was over posting too much politically. So I slowed my guns down a little bit. Let you guys catch up on your own narratives there. Guys, thank you so much, David. Miriam, hello.
Yeah, she's in bed.
Oh, poor thing. Some kind of marriage she's got already.
She goes to bed early. I mean, she came from Germany, so that's 7 hours difference in the time.
Understood.
So she hits the hay early and gets up early.
Understood.
Been nice talking to you, David.
You too, Earl.
Hey, I promise, guys, we'll all get back together. And for everybody out there that doesn't know, you're going to have to check out the show. Watch it from the beginning. You'll enjoy it. We'll talk to you soon. Don't judge us. We won't judge you. Everything is information. Information is everything. Please share and get out and support the Bigfoot community, Dogman, your groups, political, health, good health awareness, Wally Wild 21. Hello to Charmaine, Uncle Ted down there. See, I did it more than once during the show. And all our friends out there everywhere worldwide. Thanks for always accepting us in. And we really do appreciate all you admins who allow us to share in the groups. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you working with me. David, Earl, have a great night.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Take care, everybody. We love you.